The Palantiri are mysterious objects that you'll find all over the history of the Second and Third Age. But what are they exactly and how many do exist? You're going to start with a simple translation. In Quenya, Palantiri means those who can see far away, or simply called seeing stones. These stones were crafted by one of the most famous elves there ever lived, Fëanor, who is most known for crafting the Silmarils, crafted the seeing stones before the ages of the world began. How many there are is not known, but there were at least 8. We now know who made them, but what are they used for? Well, mainly for communication. The Palantiri must be placed on the same axis as the others to connect to each other. Most Palantiri were placed inside a dome or a tower protected by guards. The user or the surveyor must stand properly to connect to another stone. If you want to connect to the stone side of your standing point, you must stand on the north side of your own Palantir. Once you stand properly, a connection is made and you can communicate with one another, unless the stone was already used for another conversation. The only stone that could spy on a conversation is the Osgiliath stone, but more on that later. These people communicate with each other through thought. The stones were controlled by willpower, and you could bend it by merely concentrating, but this was very demanding from the person's will and was only used in urgent situations. But this was merely forgotten over the years. Sauron, who would probably have known of this technique. The first and most powerful Palantir was placed upon the Tower of Avalonia, on the island of Tol Eressëa. It was called the Master Stone. But what had happened to the others? There is not much to go on in the First Age, but in the Second Age the elves gave 7 stones to Amandil, leader of the faithful on the island of Númenor. Just a little history. The island of Númenor was gifted by the Valar to the Dain after the First Age and the defeat of Morgoth. But after time the Númenorians were split into 2 factions, the Kingsmen and the Faithful. The Kingsmen wanted to sail to the Undying Lands. Although they were living far longer than any mortal man, they were still thinking of dying as a curse and wanted to live forever. But the Faithful were still faithful to the old ways and to the Valar. So after the downfall of Númenor, the Faithful with Elendil as their leader took the 7 Palantiri to Middle-earth. Elendil, together with his sons Isildur and Anarion, founded the kingdoms of Arnor and Gondor. Elendil ruled over Arnor and his sons over Gondor. 3 of the 7 stones were placed in the kingdom of Arnor. The first is the Palantir of Elostirion, or better known as the Elendil Stone. It was placed in the Tower of Elostirion on the Tower Hills, east of the Grey Havens. It was aligned to the west towards the Master Stone. Because of its alignment, it could not connect to the other 6 stones. Only Elendil could look into the stone, and he used it to see the Undying Lands. After the death of Elendil, the elves took care of it and even made pilgrimages to the Palantir to get a glimpse of Farda. The elves led by Gildor just returned from Elostirion when he encountered Frodo, Sam and Pippin. When Elrond sailed west after the War of the Ring, he took the stone with him in the year 3021 of the Third Age. The second stone is the Amansul stone. It was placed on the watchtower of, you might have guessed it, Amansul. When the 10th king of Arnor died in the year 861 of the Third Age, the land was divided by his 3 sons. Arnor was divided at that moment into 3 smaller kingdoms: Arthedain, Cardolan and Rhudaur. They often fought over the control of the Weather Hills, and more importantly, the control of the Palantir of Amansul. In the year 1409, the watchtower was destroyed by the forces of Angmar. The stone was luckily saved by Arvedui, the last king of Arthedain, and he took the stone back to the city of Fornost. Arvedui had also the other stone in his possession, the Annúminas stone. The stone was originally placed in the capital of Arnor, the city of Annúminas, hence its name. But after the division of Arnor, it was relocated to the new capital of Arthedain, Fornost. When Arthedain was attacked by the forces of Angmar in 1974, Arvedui took the 2 Palantiri to the north and set sail with a ship sent from the Grey Havens to rescue the king. The ship crashed into ice and the 2 stones sank and were lost. The other 4 stones were placed in the kingdom of Gondor in the south. The first one was the greatest of the 7 stones, also known as the Osgiliath stone. He was placed in Osgiliath, the ancient capital of Gondor, in the Dome of Stars. The stone was so big that you needed at least 2 people to even lift the stone. It could even spy on a communication between two lesser stones. In the year 1432 of the Third Age, there started a rebellion in the city of Osgiliath, because the new king named Eldacar was only half-breed Numenorean. A lot of people did not agree, and the chief of that rebellion was his second cousin Castamir. He besieged Eldacar in the Osgiliath, and the city was burning and the Dome of Stars was destroyed, and with it the Palantiri was lost in the Anduin in the year 1437. It was also the first stone to be lost. The next stone is the Ithil stone. It was placed by Isildur in his fortress of Minas Ithil at the borders of Mordor. In the year 2002 of the Third Age, the Nazgûl attacked and took over the city. It became later known as the city of Minas Morgul. The stone was later used by Sauron to deceive Saruman and Denethor during the War of the Ring. It is most likely that the stone was destroyed the moment that Barad-dûr fell in the year 1319. The third stone, the Honor Stone, was placed in Minas Anor, later known as Minas Tirith. It was kept in Minas Tirith in secret by the stewards of Gondor. No steward dared to use the stone until Denethor II used it to watch over his land and even used it to challenge Sauron. Denethor did not become corrupted by Sauron, but because it took a lot of strength and willpower, he started to age quickly. When he committed suicide, he was holding the Honor Stone, and after that only people with exceeding power could see in it anything other than two flaming hands. The last stone placed in the Kingdom of Gondor was placed in the Tower of Orthanc. It was because of that stone that Saruman wanted to take stewardship of Isengard. The stone was waiting there in the tower for more than 1,000 years unused. Although Saruman had forgotten about the other stones, Sauron bent the stone of Orthanc to its own will, and with it, Saruman. After Saruman's forces were defeated by the Ents, and Gandalf and company came to Orthanc to talk to Saruman, Grima threw the stone to Gandalf, without even knowing he gave Gandalf a great gift. After that, Pippin used the stone and he was interrogated by Sauron. A couple of days later, even Aragorn used it to challenge Sauron and drew him into open war, to distract him and by that giving Frodo and Sam a chance to reach Mount Doom. So that is all there is to know about the Palantiri. I want to say thank you so much for watching. If you want to know more about other objects through the ages of Middle-earth, let me know in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button and consider subscribing. And if you want to know more about the history of the dwarves, you better click this next video. Bye bye.